These are 25 secret details you might have missed in the new Resident Evil 4 remake. If you guys know of any other secrets that I might have missed, then let me know down in the comments and you'll get a shout out in the next video. But anyways, let's get started. Number 1. The first scene in Resident Evil 4 remake is a nod to what we already knew in the OG RE4. Since Leon in the OG mentions, according to our intelligence, there's a reliable information about a sighting of a girl that looks very similar to the president's daughter. Apparently she's being withheld by some unidentified group of people. That's the reason why we got the glimpse of that woman in the intro of Resident Evil 4 remake. Though what's strange about the remake is that they didn't relay this information again. So if anything, if Resident Evil 4 remake was the first time you played Resident Evil 4, you wouldn't have had that information to bounce off of. And I do want to give a huge shout out to Sanitation7 for pointing this out during my live streams when I first played the game. But at the end of the day, it's still nice that we got this initial scene since it just adds more to the lore. Number 2, if you point the flashlight directly at Ashley's face, she'll react accordingly by covering her face. This is a nice detail to add since most games forget to add this. Number 3, if you look closely at Ashley's scarf, you can clearly tell that the inspiration for Ashley's scarf design came from Ada's dress from the OG RE4, though it is worth noting that Ada's dress had butterflies in the OG and Ashley's scarf in the remake has flowers. Number 4, you can hear Sadler speaking Spanish. It happens really quick, but this occurs during the final boss scene. Now this is the only time where we actually hear Sadler speaking Spanish. It's very quick, so I'll play it right now so you guys can hear. Okay, so right here what he just said was profundo bendición de las plagas. I think that's what he said. Now it is worth noting that the voice actor clearly doesn't speak Spanish. I am hearing a bit of an accent, even with all of the voice having an effect like the monster effects and all of that. But what that translates to is profound blessings to the plague. The next thing he says is plagas, which can be translated to the plague. And the last thing that Sadler states is sangre, sangre, sangre. He keeps repeating this, and this is actually a callback to a lot of the Ganellos say this during the castle section, which can be translated to blood, blood, blood. And by the way, if you guys are interested, right now I'm in the process of making a video series basically dissecting all of the Spanish that's heard in Resident Evil 4 remake. So stay tuned for that because that will be releasing soon. Number 5, in the courtyard section, it's possible for Colmillo to jump and attack Ashley. Ashley will respond with, "I'm okay, dogs like me," after the attack, which to be honest, I thought was a very funny detail to add.
You okay?
What can I say? Dogs like me.
So I just wanted to give a huge thank you to our sponsor for today's video, CLAOX. So if you guys are in the market for affordable wireless Bluetooth earbuds, then CLAOX has you covered. Make sure to use my links down in the description and as well as my discount code to save 6% off your next purchase. My discount code is PROJECTW, all in caps. So a huge thank you again to CLAOX, and let's get back to the video. Number 6, during the Krauser fight, you can push Krauser into his own traps, which I honestly thought was hilarious. Number 7, in the island section of the game, you can encounter enemies that wear protective helmets that resemble Isaac Clarke from Dead Space. Number 8, in the island section, you can encounter certain enemies that definitely look like they took inspiration from the Uruk-hai in the Lord of the Rings movies, especially since their armor also has white markings, which is very similar to Saruman's White Hand Army from the books and movies of Lord of the Rings. Number 9, another Lord of the Rings reference can be found during the castle section of the game. You can also encounter another El Gigante, but what makes this one different from the rest of the game is that he has a white handprint on his face, clearly referencing Saruman's White Hand Army in the Lord of the Rings. By the way, I don't know who the Lord of the Rings fanboy is that's in the dev team for Resident Evil, because this is not the first game to have Lord of the Rings references. Number 10, after you free Ashley in the island section of the game, once you have her open the door to the next area, she'll say, "I'm totally a master of unlocking," clearly referencing Jill Valentine's, whose nickname was the Master of Unlocking in Stars.
I'm pretty much a master of unlocking.
Number 11, if you grab the turret in the island section while Mike speaks with you, the camera will look at Mike while you're aiming, giving it a first-person look.
Let's show these assholes what we got. Hunnigan, I owe you one.
Number 12, if you wear the pinstripe suit with the maxed out Chicago sweeper and press the reload button, Leon will do a dance move. Now this is a nod to the OG, which also had a specific action when using this same weapon. Well, technically in the OG it was called Chicago typewriter, and in the remake it's called Chicago sweeper. And to be honest, it still confuses me to this day why they didn't just keep the typewriter name. I prefer typewriter in my opinion. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to share the video and consider subscribing because I post Resident Evil videos every single week. Number 13, during the pitfall section of the castle, you can acquire a black bass in the murky water. Not going to lie, this one was kind of a surprise for me since I didn't expect there to be living fish in those waters, but I accidentally stumbled on this detail when I was using my infinite rocket launcher when I was killing the Novistadors. Number 14, you can shoot the spotlights when you first enter the island section of the game, which is just like the OG. In fact, if you want to do this silently, shoot the spotlights from far away, and this will ensure that you won't alert the enemies. And you'll also be able to grab the treasure that's right next to the second laser turret on the left without getting spotted. Number 15, you can actually shoot the Firebolt crossbow on the JJ's arm and make it explode. Now the way this is done is by shooting him right before he gets ready to fire at you. Aim and shoot his arm crossbow and it'll explode. Now what's weird about this detail is that he'll still be able to use it after, but it's a nice detail slash tip to know if you want to land a couple more extra shots. Number 16, in the castle section of the game, if you decide to shoot the gate cage holding the colmillos, Ashley will question Leon by saying, "You let them out?" Leon will respond, "It's better this way."
You left them out!
Easier this way.
Number 17, in the Ashley section of the game, there's one staircase that looks incredibly similar to the older concept versions of OG Resident Evil 4, also known by many fans as Resident Evil 3.5. This hallway would also later inspire the Resident Evil 5 DLC named Lost in Nightmares. Number 18, when entering the Big Cheese's house, aka Chief Mendez, you can find a Ganello in the bathroom, which is an Easter egg referencing the OG Resident Evil 4, where you can also see a Ganello in the bathroom. Though in the OG, there was just a urinal with a weird toilet paper roll right next to it. Number 19, during the cabin fight, if you pay attention to the fireplace, you can see an enemy drop from the fireplace, kind of like Santa Claus. Now, I do have to give a huge shout out to Canine Pen Terrorist for pointing this out and confirming this, since I just so happened to have this occur to me, but when it happened, I totally second guessed myself. I was like, did that Ganello just fall from the chimney? I was like, nah. Well, it turns out it was true, and there's also several times that this can happen during the cabin fight, so at the end of the day, this is honestly a hilarious little detail. Number 20, during the castle slash mining section of the game, you can skip the dynamite location if you have an RPG by just shooting the rock directly. Now, this was also a secret detail that could also be done in the OG Resident Evil 4. Number 21, during the minecart section, you can shoot Dr. Salvador's minecart until it completely breaks, which will instantly kill him. Number 22, in the island section where Mike lends a hand, when the game requires you to shoot the AA gun, if you have an RPG, you can just shoot it right away. You don't need to go to the top of the tower and use the turret that the game provides. Number 23, if you look closely at Luis's lighter, there's an umbrella logo.
Ashley.
Number 24, you can kill Salazar with 2 golden eggs. And finally, as mentioned in the thumbnail, you can find a specific file after defeating Salazar that states that a servant once called him Pulgarcito. For those of you that might have been confused by this since the game didn't offer a translation, this translates to Little Thumb, or as it's known in English, Tom Thumb, which was a short fairy tale about a boy who was the size of a thumb that was actually inspired by an actual person. So, or in other words, the servant called him short. A huge shout out to Picolord for catching this, since I had never heard of this fairy tale before playing RE4 Remake, and it wasn't until I spoke with my mom that she later confirmed that this was an English fairy tale. So a huge shout out to my mom as well. Now if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to click this video if you guys want to know more secret details of the OG Resident Evil 4. Anyways, thanks for watching.